Hey guys, here once again. My name is Olade Amos. I'm called the Strategies. How do you smash the job out there? It's always a struggle for several people. How do you smash the job out there? Right? You apply for a job, they call you for an interview, you go for an interview, only for you to get a message back. Boom, you missed this job. And you've tried endlessly and nothing actually has happened. May I inform you that there is a demon that only knowledge answers to. That demon is called ignorance. If you don't know, you don't know. This is the reason why I'm especially inviting you to a community that serves you, a community of job seekers like you who learn from each other, who learn from the best of coaches out there, who learn from recruiters, recruiting managers, and also senior people out there who have aced several interviews and are coaching young other people. I'm bringing many mentors into the community to help you get that job. Do you know what I want you to do right away? I want you to look at your screen and go to www.peoplearm.io/acemyinterview and be part of that network that serves you. There'll be many sessions you'll be having, and they are all free of charge for you. The only price you pay is your time, is your effort, and being there anytime we have a discussion and ask your questions. Anything you ask outside that particular platform, you're going to pay for it. It's part of our own give back to the community. Let me just run through something that you'll be learning in that community. We'll be going through them in details, not only in knowledge. We're going to be talking about a lot of practical demonstration. We'll be talking about number one, on how do you understand the market, whether you're in UK, you're in US, you're in Germany, you're in Canada. These are the top countries in which we are focused on today. How do you understand the job market? How do you understand the job market trend? How are you able to understand what are the key industries in which I need to apply into? How do you grow myself in that particular industry? Then how do we discuss that strategic importance of your culture fit to a particular company, and also how do you understand that company value? We'll be discussing that in that community. The other thing we talk about are pre-interview questions. Yeah? You think getting a job is all about being in a room? Nah, it's not about being in a room. There are several things about getting an interview. There are things about how do you research for a role. Researching for a role, I mean research, I didn't say read. I mean, how do you look at a job description and understand what the recruiter or what the hiring manager had in mind before they prepare that particular JD? How do you research the company history? How do you look for the news that really matter to that role? We will be talking about that in practical terms. How do you tailor your CV? Yeah? We have a CV Magic offering right in People Arm. That is a separate discussion entirely. If you want that, you can just go to our page, peoplearm.io/CV Magic. You can enroll into our CV services. It's available for you. Then how do you practice? What are the common interview questions? And I don't know why people still fail at this. Sometimes I do an interview and I had some basic question that has Zoom at basic, but people miss them out. Why? Because even though some people go to some sessions where they teach them about interview question and answer, but how do you commit them into your heart that the answers become more natural? Because there's a role of your non-verbal communications. How do you manage that? How do you practice those things by yourself? How do you practice those kind of common interview questions and answer? We'll talk about that. Then how do you develop a question that you ask your interviewer? Many a times I conduct an interview, then at the end, then I tell the person I'm interviewing, what question do you have for me? And the person tells me and say, well, I'm actually fine, I don't have any question. That is not the way you do it. You have not been taught by People Arm. That is why you're making that mistake. How do you leave lasting impression right in the mind of your potential employer? Then we go to the point where we talk about how do you navigate behavioral interview? How do you go about it? What are those things? How do you manage them? Then we'll talk about the STAR. You have heard about the STAR many a times: situation, task, action, result. People know about it, but unfortunately, when we get to an interview room and you ask people questions, they freak out completely. People just go around and start telling you stories, and it's fine for you to understand the situation. It's hard for you to understand the action that the person took, and even the result that the person achieved. It's always hard. How do you program yourself to be able to explain and give an answer in a STAR compliant way? Then examples of behavioral questions, we'll be talking about that, be bringing that to you. And lastly, how do you draft your compelling stories? Yes, you need to have stories. I have several stories, right, about my journey, several stories about different moments in my life, several stories about some interview questions. You must have your story. Guess what? Your story is different from my story. That is why you knowing and having your story becomes important. You need to have a story. How do you draft this story? How do you write this story down? How do you craft these stories out? How do you make this story very visual to you? We'll be coaching you in that particular community. Then what are the other competency-based kind of questions? The one that is linked to your role itself. Yeah. How do you navigate that? How do you study for that? How do you get yourself into that? Then there are some kind of common competency questions. That's a lot to do with some soft skills like teamwork, like communication, like leadership, like problem solving, like conflict resolution. But how do you prepare for those kind of questions? Because many employers, nearly all employers, will always ask you those kind of questions, but maybe they will ask you differently, but they mean exactly the same thing. They are trying to test you on your teamwork ability. And the last part, we give you like some guidance in terms of how do you align your experiences, how do you align your storyline with those competencies in such a way that when you ask questions, you have ready-made answers for them. That becomes more natural with you. Yeah. And there's a particular topic I love a lot, and I love to talk about a lot. This topic has a lot to do with cultural considerations, yeah? Particularly for people that come from a third world country, yeah? How do you navigate cultural differences? For example, how much more do you smile? When do you use I? When do you use we? Right, sometimes in some kind of culture, when you use a lot of we, they feel like, what is your contribution to that particular work? Sometimes in some kind of interview, when you use a lot of I, it tells them about your confidence in your delivery. How do you balance your I and we in a conversation in such a way that you don't sound too proud, you don't sound too isolated, and you can still show your teamwork capability? How do you balance that together? We'll be talking about that in practical session. That is why it is your community, it is your session. You own this session. It's not a session where anybody come and coach you and just show you slides and just speak with you. It's a session that you already by yourself, you own that. These are the things that you must pay attention to. Cultural difference, for example, how do you dress? Sometimes somebody will tell you and say, your dressing does not really matter. They want to see your character, how you can answer interview questions. Guess what? Let me just shock you with this. Your package, from time immemorial till the end of time, your package attracts men. Then your content will keep them. If your package scares them, if your package takes them away, if your package is not warm enough, forget about your content. Yeah, your content can convince more, but there's a place of package. An Apple phone is a lovely phone. The Samsung phone is a lovely phone, but Samsung will not just present the phone to you right away. They package the phone for you in a lovely way. Have you bought TVs? You see the way your TVs is packaged for you, yeah? Packaging is very important. So how do you package yourself for the work? How do you dress for an interview? That becomes important. What are the also some bit of cultural nuances, yeah, that comes to play? Yeah, how do you balance that language, choice of words, right? And the way you giggle, the way you smile, the way you bring your feelers in, how not to use your feelers. We'll talk about that under cultural consideration. Then how do you manage virtual interview? Sometimes I go for an interview, maybe I'm interviewing somebody and I see the person's virtual background. It doesn't tell me that this person prepared for this interview. Just all over the place, yeah? It might look a bit small, but it's something that is very important, yeah? You want to pay a lot of attention into that. How do you manage virtual interviews? How do you manage things like, how do you appear professional? How do you show up, the light, technology? How do you test your sound? How do you use a very sharp camera in such a way that they can see your face? Those things play a long role in affecting emotions. Most time recruiters also play to emotions. We are all emotional beings. Yet we try to be objective, but there's also a place of emotions. Yeah. How do you manage? Then the next one will be discussing how do you manage technical kind of questions for an interview. For example, you're a developer, you're a BA. How do you manage some kind of questions that are related specifically to that role? How do you prepare yourself for them? Then how do you look at the JD in order for you to understand the kind of question you might be expecting? And also, how do you manage follow-up questions? What if when you're done and your brain is blocked and you don't have an answer? How do you manage those kind of questions? These are the things we will be talking about. Then the place of body language, the role of soft skills, yeah, how do you use your eye contact? How do you ensure that you have your firm handshake? How do you use your listening, your empathy, how do you show that you are very adaptable and still being firm? How do you assert your dominance in the room? How do you become soft? Yeah. So there are many things to do with that, and they come a lot more to do with your non-verbal clues that you give to how do you manage your eyes movement horizontally and also your face movement like vertically to show confidence in what you're doing. Then let's talk about salaries. Yeah. Oftentimes I've been able to help several people to up their salary negotiation almost by 20%. Yeah, I've seen 30%, I've seen 40%, yeah? And that looks like a bit odd, yeah? But guess what? I've seen people negotiate salaries, and not only salaries. How do you negotiate benefits? Because there are many benefits today that many recruiters might not be able to tell you because all companies are not structured the same way. How do you manage negotiation in terms of your salaries? How do you manage benefits in the market today? Yeah, particularly in US, how do you manage your medical benefits when you are getting a job, and how do you understand the levels of benefit that you might need to ask for? Holidays, perks, how do you manage those things? Flexible kind of work, hybrid role. For example, a company says, come and work fully on site. How do you negotiate your hybrid role in such a way that you can be more flexible with your ways of working? Then, what do you do after that interview? And that is all about the post-interview. Now, what do you do after an interview? Right away, how do you send an email to the interviewers? How do you do a follow-up communication? Sometimes some recruiters can be dead on you. They don't give you a response, you don't hear from them. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. How do you do a follow-up in a very professional way? Yeah. Then the biggest part of it, the last two part of it, which I love most, is we will be having a lot of mock interviews. Yeah. Come up the stage. Let's drill you. Yeah. Practice. And this is always people's problem. They know a lot of things, but they've done very little. How do you practicalize yourself? Remember, once again, if you want to learn all this that we'll be talking about in the community, it's not just a one session thing. Go to our website right now, www.peoplearm.io/acemyinterview, because the goal is for you to ace your interview, and we are committed to that journey. This is what we do to all our students, people that enroll in our academy. This is what we do for them. We prepare them for the job market. How do you conduct interviews? Yeah, we drill you, volunteer, bring yourself up, and we help you, give you feedback in such a way that you understand where your gray areas are, you understand your strength, because people have different personality. How do you leverage your personality in an interview room? Then there's a session we call Ask Me Anything. That session is 100% you. You ask questions about some areas of you that you might not understand about an interview, and maybe you have a forthcoming interview and you want to ask questions. It's a forum where you ask that question. Remember, once again, this is part of our gift to the community to help a lot of black professionals to get into the industry. We are committed to this journey. We are passionate about this journey, and your case won't be different, and we like to hear the testimonies, and the testimonies are rushing already. We are committed to this. This is why we call ourselves People Harm, and we say live life witho't borders. Until I see you again, my name once again is Ola Diamonds. Remember to go to that page. I'm called the strategies, peoplearm.io/acemyinterview. I will see you at the top, and congratulations in advance as you join the community, as you learn, as you do, as you go and smash that interview, and we come back and congratulate ourselves. Then we say, God, yeah, we did it. So we see you at the top, because that is where I'm gonna be. Have a lovely time. Please share this with a friend and share that link with a friend, okay? Bye.